So I will be going over my thoughts about this Watergate police crime organizer. My first thought about it was, why is there only two listed colors? Now, two colors would be like the minimum I would expect, but as you can tell, they have two colors listed. Red is supposed to be crime, and purple is supposed to be connections. But if you look at the picture, there is only purple. Like, I do not see red anywhere on this paper. Besides up there. But without all those colors telling me why they're connected to Richard Nixon, whether it be like, say, this guy got fired, or this guy got fired, or someone else on here got fired, or they resigned, or they were indicted by the Senate committee, or they were fired by someone that Nixon fired two other people to put in. Like colors like such as that. Like, these guys are all connected to these guys. Like the burglary connection, the connections. But there could have been more ways to show that they were connected to Richard Nixon, because I have no clue to tell that either. Like, I don't know how this guy is connected to him, and same with this guy, same with this guy. Like, if I had no prior knowledge to this, then I would be completely lost. I would just think Richard Nixon was the head, and then that all these people were of equal status connected to him. Yeah, so like, I can loosely tell that this guy, like, you can like, pretty loosely, and I'm like putting the word loosely to a stretch here, that all of, like, Richard Keenstance, Mark Felt, Elliot Richardson, John Dean, H.R. Heldman, Leon Jowitsky, Alexander Butterfield, John Elchman, Ron Ziegler, G. Gordon Liddy, E. Howard Hunt, and the burglars are all connected to Richard Nixon. But the burglars, and I'm going to use prior knowledge for this one, but the burglars never met directly with Richard Nixon, from what I've learned. And it was actually these three people down here who have no connection to Nixon on this chart besides just being connected with the burglars. But these people were all ordered by Nixon, or they were told by Nixon that it was okay to tell these people, the burglars, to go and raid the DNC in the Watergate complex to help Nixon win the election of 74, I'd like to say. Don't count me on that one. But yeah, it doesn't, like, these two were all connection, but it just shows a connection between these two here. And then Charles Colson just connected all the way up here, but he was connected with these fellas too. And alright, so basically Richard Nixon paid Howard Hunt the money, and then he gave it to the burglars for all their supplies. Like, this just shows me the people involved in the whole scandal. Like, I couldn't even, like, if I came in here completely blind, I wouldn't know that the Senate committee was the people investigating Richard Nixon. And just something I'd like to point out, Archibald Cox and Leon Jowitsky aren't connected to the Senate at all, even though they were the heads of the Senate committee. Or no, they were the special prosecutor. But you can tell that these two people were connected to Archibald Cox, because Elliot Richardson was the original Attorney General, but Richard Nixon fired two other people to get to Robert Bork, and he was the one who actually fired Archibald Cox, who at the time was the special prosecutor with the Senate committee. And then Robert Bork appointed Leon Jowitsky to be the special prosecutor instead. because Archibald Cox was like basically accusing Nixon to have knowledge of the burglary, but Leon Jaworski was put in charge, and I think that's what this connection's supposed to be. Right here is like the investigation connection, I believe, but also there's this one pencil line here that leads from the Senate committee to Alexander Butterfield. I don't know if that was just a mistake or if they forgot to color it in, because you can tell there's still some pencil here. Bit of a sorry to nitpick, but a bit of a sloppy job with coloring over pencil marks here too. Although they taped here, so although they still could have drew red over it. And now for the pros and cons. For the three pros, one is that all of the pictures are in groups that they're related to. Like you can tell, Archibald Cox and Leon Jaworski are connected, like in the same area as the Senate committee. The people that were involved in the burglary are all in the same area. People that also at that point, these people investigated them. They're also included nearby. We have some other people that were involved with it that are connected nearby. Have some of then for the third pro, all of the people that were connected with Nixon are shown very close to him. Helps him be shown as the middleman. Then for the three cons, I have this is all done in one color. The connections. The second one is there is no way to distinguish the different connections to Richard Nixon and outward. And then number three is that some people, such as Archibald Cox and Leon Jaworski, are not connected to the things that they should be. Like these two should both be connected to the Senate committee since they were both the special prosecutor. And there's nothing showing that the Senate committee is investigating Richard Nixon, so should have had that in. In conclusion, should have used at least 5 colors, I'd say. Like one for direct connections to Nixon. So like the attorney, like the secretaries of like the department and stuff. Then maybe have one for the Senate. Then probably have one for the journalists with these two fellas down here who investigated the burglars. And another red line, and like another line for people that were indicted by the Senate, and then like another one for people that were fired by Nixon or quit and resigned. And then there should also be a line for people that testified for like in front of the Senate, because I believe it was Alexander Butterfield, if I'm not mistaken, who testified for the Senate committee, and I believe that's why there's this pencil mark here. But he testified that there was tapes in the White House that Richard Nixon installed that recorded every conversation he had with all of the people that he met in the Oval Office. So that led to the Senate committee finding out of Richard Nixon's intent and knowledge of the burglary of the DNC committee. But yeah, try and